Have you ever felt your heart racing out of rhythm, your mind overwhelmed by racing thoughts, or anxiety taking over your body even when everything seems calm on the outside? If so, know that you're not alone. At some point in life, we all experience anxiety, that restless feeling, fear, or worry that we often can't quite explain. But have you ever stopped to consider what anxiety really represents? Is it just an enemy to be defeated, or could there be an important message hidden behind this discomfort? According to physician and author Gabor Maté, a global reference in mental health and trauma, anxiety isn't here to torment us for no reason. In fact, it plays a fundamental and even noble role within our emotional framework. Maté explains that the first step in any healing process is to face head-on what causes us pain, discomfort, or fear. In this sense, anxiety isn't our enemy. It's a messenger from our body and mind, pointing to something that needs to be seen, acknowledged, and embraced. Think of anxiety like the warning light on your car's dashboard. When it lights up, the problem isn't the light itself. It's just showing that something in the system needs attention. It could be low oil, overheating, or maybe a simple fix will do the trick. If we ignore the light and try to force it off, the real issues persist and often get worse. The same goes for anxiety. It shows up to alert us that something is out of balance, something that needs to be understood and cared for. That's why Maté invites us to look at anxiety with new eyes. Instead of wasting energy fighting it, we should take time to listen to it. What does this feeling try and tell us? What need is going unmet? What part of our story remains unresolved or wounded? It might be fear of rejection, an unhealed trauma, or an old pain that was never allowed to be expressed. Of course, this journey of self-discovery isn't easy. Facing old ghosts, reopening wounds, or recalling moments we'd rather forget can be painful. But this is precisely where the true path to healing begins, with self-compassion, patience with ourselves, and above all, courage. Courage to look within, to admit our limitations, to confront the fears, memories, and traumas we've tried to hide for so long. Anxiety loses its power when we stop running from it and start integrating it, understanding its message, and addressing what it's signaling. Bit by bit, this creates space for a new way of being, lighter, more authentic, where our feelings no longer paralyze us, but become part of our story with meaning and purpose. However, it's important to understand that this transformation doesn't happen overnight. There's no miracle cure or easy path. This process is a journey, full of ups and downs. There will be days when you feel incredibly strong and confident, and others when it seems like nothing has changed. That's okay. The key is not to give up, to remember that every step, no matter how small, is progress toward greater inner freedom. True freedom isn't about living without anxiety. It's not about eliminating all fears, insecurities, or sadness from your life, because that's impossible. Living is inevitably feeling. The secret lies in learning to handle emotions without being dominated by them. It's about listening to what each feeling is trying to show us, embracing our humanity with all its flaws, vulnerabilities, and imperfections. That's where true transformation happens, through self-awareness and respect for our own emotions. Many people think anxiety is just a chemical imbalance in the brain, a flaw that needs to be fixed with medication or techniques to silence the symptom. That's not entirely true. While medication can be necessary in severe cases and under medical supervision, Gabor Maté teaches us that the root of anxiety is almost always tied to unaddressed emotional wounds accumulated throughout our lives. These can include major or minor traumas, losses, rejections, difficult family environments, or even seemingly trivial situations that had a profound impact on our emotional development during childhood. For example, imagine a child who grew up being told to swallow their tears, that showing sadness or fear was a sign of weakness. Years later, that child becomes an adult who feels anxiety every time their body tries to express those emotions, but they've been programmed their whole life to suppress them. The body stores this unexpressed energy until it erupts as anxiety, panic, or other physical and emotional symptoms. Another common scenario: someone who experienced losses or abrupt changes, like their parents' divorce, bullying, constant criticism, or excessive expectations with little affection. These experiences can linger in the body, and without realizing it, the person grows up trying to control everything around them to avoid being caught off guard again. But controlling everything is impossible, and from this internal struggle, anxiety is born, always expecting the worst, always wary of the future. Gabor Maté argues that anxiety isn't a condition to be suppressed, but a call from our internal system asking for healing and attention. It urges us to return to our emotional roots, reflect on our story, and consider how we were nurtured, touched, or often ignored in our deepest needs. So, how do we start this process of listening? How do we turn anxiety into an ally for our growth? It begins with awareness. The first step is recognizing that there's a message there. Try this. The next time you feel anxious, pause for a few minutes and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What is my body trying to show me? Is there a situation, thought, or memory behind this symptom? Allow yourself to feel without judgment. Name what you're feeling, even if it doesn't make sense right away. Often, just acknowledging the emotion brings relief. Another important tip is to seek safe spaces for listening, whether with a therapist, trusted friends, support groups, or through practices like journaling or meditation. Over time, you'll realize anxiety doesn't have to be the enemy. It becomes like a compass, showing you what deserves your attention. By addressing these wounds, you naturally begin to transform anxiety's role in your life, from villain to teacher. Don't demand perfection in this process. Everyone has their own pace. Sometimes you'll feel progress, other times you might feel setbacks. But remember, no one heals alone. Human connections, empathy, eye-to-eye contact, emotional support are essential for healing. Find your tribe, your trusted circles, and allow yourself to be vulnerable. Don't be ashamed to ask for help or express your emotions. Gradually, you'll notice patterns. What situations trigger more anxiety? Who makes you feel more or less safe? What are your emotional triggers? These answers give you more autonomy and strengthen your self-esteem. Because ultimately, self-awareness is about observing yourself, accepting yourself, and creating healthier strategies for living. Another essential practice for transforming anxiety is caring for your body. Maté emphasizes that mind and body are not separate. Everything we feel emotionally reverberates physically, and vice versa. When we neglect our limits, eat poorly, sleep badly, or skip self-care, anxiety tends to grow. So, pay attention to your body's signals: pain, fatigue, muscle tension, breathing difficulties. These are important messages too. If possible, incorporate habits into your routine that nurture both body and mind, like light physical activity, balanced nutrition, leisure time, nature, and mindfulness practices. Balance starts with small daily choices. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate anxiety entirely. The aim is to live with it more lightly, consciously, turning it into a starting point for self-acceptance and healthier relationships. When you embrace your feelings without punishing yourself, hiding, or denying your humanity, transformation emerges slowly but authentically. It's also important to debunk a common myth. Feeling anxiety isn't a sign of weakness, lack of control, or inferiority. Everyone, absolutely everyone, feels anxiety to some degree at different times. The problem isn't feeling it, but how much we let it dominate our lives and hold us back. That's why it's crucial to understand that asking for help is an act of courage, not weakness. Seeking therapy, talking about your feelings, or sharing your struggles with trusted people is already a huge step toward healing. The takeaway is simple. We don't need to keep running from ourselves. We can learn to live in harmony with our emotions, including anxiety. We can be free to feel, free to reinvent ourselves, free to build a new way of existing. Along this journey, you might discover a potential for self-awareness and growth you never imagined. And when that happens, anxiety transforms from a feared villain into a silent ally, guiding you to a place of more truth, authenticity, and peace. Finally, let me remind you, living without fear of feeling is possible. Every big change starts with a small step. So, allow yourself to begin this journey today. Listen to your emotions, accept your story, value your achievements, even the small ones, and celebrate every step forward. You deserve a light, fulfilling, and authentic life. If this reflection resonated with you, share this video with someone who needs to hear it right now. Subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and turn on a notification bell to receive our next posts. See you in the next video.